problems. I'm just waiting for my perpetual, my usual ritual, making sure that I'm online on Facebook or not. And as soon as I get to know, it looks like I am online, and I am. This is fantastic news. One of my lucky weeks, then I should say that.
Very fast. Very fast.
Don't you think so? Okay. So this is good. And I will just do a Hare Krishna for those who are watching me online. So how are you all doing today, Matajis?
It's very, very cold.
It's very cold?
Bad. East Coast, it is terrible.
All right.
Easy.
All right. And then what do you think? What do you think about the material world then?
Yeah, it's Dukhalayam.
Titoshna Sukha Dukkada.
No, to be out at 7:30, and today the temperature was 33 degrees, and to open car doors at 33-degree temperature was like really a pain.
Right.
4 o'clock it gets dark.
Yeah, that over here, 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, such is the material world. Yeah. There's a nice verse from Bhagavatam. Actually, I wanted to mention which is one of my favorites also, and also Srivas Pandit Prabhu's favorite. And it says, and it's talking about, how I'm just relating to the fact that how Sukamal Radhi Mataji said that trying to step out of the house and touch the cold to a cold car at 33 degrees Fahrenheit is not a pleasurable task, right? Stepping outside of the home is difficult. And there's this verse in Bhagavatam from the 2nd canto, 8th chapter. And it says, Dhatatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Pantah Swasaranam Yatha. And basically what this verse says is that a pure devotee of the Lord, right? So it said Dhatatma. Dhat means dhuna, cleaning it, something, right? So it says Dhat Atma, when your Atma is cleansed. So when your Atma means several things. One of the meanings of Atma is heart. So Dhat Atma Purusha Krishna. So when the heart is cleansed. And how is the heart cleansed? By doing devotional service. Dhat Atma Purusha Krishna. Padamulam Namunchati. So what it does is that when your heart is purified by doing devotional service, then such a person does not want to munchati, give up what? Padamulam. Does not want to give up the lotus feet
of Krishna. Yeah.
There you go. Padamulam namunchati. Why? For they fully satisfy him, right? And mukta sarva pariklesha. So what it will do is that, and pariklesha, klesha means dukh, right? So this situation of being in pure devotional service and in the situation of having your heart cleansed, it's saying that once it happens, then you don't want to leave the lotus feet of the Lord. Why? Because they give you shelter and they relieve you of all the troubles, just as a person feels very relieved, a traveler feels very relieved after he comes back home. Right? So you can now I want you to relate how you felt, Sukal Mataji, when you came back home.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji. But can you tell me the verse?
286.
6?
Yeah, 2.8 or 6.
Okay.
Dhatatma Purusha Krishna Padmulam Namanchati.
Bhagavatam, is that right?
Yep. Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Pantha Swasharanam Yatha. So what it's basically saying is that of course we talked about the literal returning home that Sukamal Mataji felt today, going out in the car, very cold to touch, come back home. Even if the heat is not on, the home it's nice and warm inside the home as compared to outside, right? So the point here is that returning back home is a good experience.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we are trying to do, that we're trying to go back to our eternal and our original home, right? So that then we'll be mukta sarva pariklesha. We will be free of all the kleshas, all the dukh and all.
Such a nice beginning to the class, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. So And so that's what we are here for, going back to home, back to Godhead. And the good thing is that the Srimad Bhagavatam and other literatures give you the coordinates of where you should go, right? Where you can, where you are headed or where you should be headed, right? So all that you have to do is you need a GPS, right? GPS is Guru's positional system. So
You said
G stands for
286
Guru.
Bhagavatam, is that right, Mataji?
Yes.
So GPS stands for Guru's positional system, right? And it's your Guru who's going to take us back, right? And tad vidhi paripatina pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnanina tasvadarshinaha. Right? So it says that you have to do. The process here is that you have to pariprashnena, right? You have to surrender to the Lord. You have to ask questions. So surrender to the Guru, ask questions humbly. And sevaya, you have to do service to the spiritual master, right? And so last week we took examples from disciples. Do you remember? Who were doing service to the spiritual master?
Yeah.
Examples with Abhimanyu.
Yeah.
The name. Upamanyu. Right? We talked about Upamanyu, Dhamya. He was a disciple of Dhamya Rishi, right?
Yeah.
So like that. So there were disciples. So basically, the disciple has to render service to the spiritual master. And the thing to note over here is that it says Jnaninas Tattvadarshina, right? So he's saying Jnaninas. This chapter is all about Gyan, all about attaining spiritual knowledge. And Jnaninas, he's not saying, that he's talking about plural. For they have seen the truth. It translates in 434. They means more than one, right? So basically what they're saying is that your Guru will also be more than one Guru, right? And their Gurus are classified and bucketed into various categories, right? So there is the Vardhaman Pradakshak Guru who shows you the way, might not teach you, might not initiate you, right? And then there is the Diksha Guru who will initiate you. And there can be only one Diksha Guru. And then there can be many Siksha Gurus who are going to give you teachings and learnings, right? And depending on the Guru is just, the Guru is just going to get you initiated into the path. It's not necessary for a Guru to be completely well-versed in the Shastras, to pronounce Sanskrit perfectly and to memorize all the verses of Bhagavatam. And you say, well, I'm going to become a disciple. I'm going to take a Guru who has memorized all the 18 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, nothing less than that for me. That is not what approach should be. Actually, to use the word that I'm going to take a Guru itself is not the right statement to use, right? It's not about you're going to get a Guru. It's about you are going to become a disciple. And there's a world of a difference between there. And sometimes people will complain and they say that, I don't want to take a Guru. This is Kali Yuga. And, where are the Gurus like Narad Muni? There are no Gurus like Narad Muni in Kali Yuga, right? But the question also is that there are no students also like Dhruv Maharaj.
That's true.
Right. So, well, for every Shukdev Goswami who recited the Bhagavatam, you need a Parikshit Maharaj of the equal caliber. And then there is the flow of information, reciprocation happens. Otherwise, if the flow is constricted, then it won't happen, right? So we have to keep that in mind. And also that every Guru has got his mood. And if he initiates you, he might be into that mood. For example, a Guru could be into cow protection, right? Or a Guru could be in book distribution, or a Guru could be focused on deity worship, and so on and so forth, right? Preaching. So the Siksha Gurus that you would pick up, like you took Diksha from somebody who likes cow protection, then the Shiksha Gurus that you have should be aligned with cow protection. Otherwise, your mind is going to get confused, right? So that choice has to be made by the disciple. And then, of course, once a disciple takes Diksha from a particular Guru, then if he wants to get more Siksha Gurus, then he takes permission from his spiritual master first. And the spiritual master is going to guide him. So, because this is all about guidance. It's all about, we said that, we talked about the HIS, the His of the grace last time. And we said H stands for humility, to accept that I don't know that there is a way and that I don't know it, right? And then inquiry is that now I want to know what the way is, right? and S was for servicing.
Service.
I'm going to do service to the Lord. So that humility always has got to be in us. So there are going to be multiple gurus. I just wanted to point that out. And so let's look at today's verse. What today's verse is going to talk. And today's verse is going to be 4.35. And welcome, Sadhana Mataji, from your long journey to India and all the nice tirtha sthans that you have. So we are welcome. We are very happy and fortunate to be in the association of devotees who have returned back from the Dham. That's indeed an amazing thing.
Hari Bol, thank you.
Hari Bol. So let's go and look at the verse for today, which is 4.35 today. And I'm going to start sharing my screen. Please let me know when you're able to see it. Can't do that now. Share again. Yajñatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshani drakshasya atmanyato mai yajñatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshani drakshasya atmanyato mai Yajñatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshani drakshasya atmanyato mai. Yat, which, gyatva, knowing, na, never, punaha, again, moham, illusion, evam, like this, yasyasi, you shall go, Pandava, O son of Pandu, yena, by which, bhutani, living entities, aseshani, all, drakshyasi, you will see, atmani, in the Supreme Soul, ata, or in other words, mai, in me. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Having obtained real knowledge from a realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. So before we go into the purport, Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjan Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Naha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bolo Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion, for by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. The result of receiving knowledge from the self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all living beings are parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Shri Krishna. In which verse from the Bhagavad-gita does Krishna say that every living being is a part and parcel of me? It's a very famous verse. I will give you a hint. It's the verse that it's the chapter that we sing when we are doing first grain ceremony. What chapter is that? When we do first grain ceremony in the temple for children? We recite a chapter of Bhagavad-gita. We do, no? Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know it. I don't
Our
know.
brain is not hearing.
Yeah, what happened? Which chapter from Bhagavad-gita do we do when we are doing grain ceremony? Chapter 15.
Okay, because I have not attended a grain ceremony for a long, long time.
Okay. Okay,
So,
chapter
Mataji.
15, we do chapter 15. Okay. I thought my computer had gone crazy on me again. So, all right. So here, Mame Vancho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha Manaha Shasthani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. He's saying the living entities in the conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Okay, so that is where it says in Bhagavad Gita that you will see that all living beings are but part and parcel of the Supreme, right? When you get the real knowledge, and he's giving real knowledge in 15. Or in other words, that they are mine. Mame Vansho, they are my parts and parcels, right? So the result of seeing knowledge from a self-realized soul, of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all living beings are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, let's stop over here and see. Once you get this knowledge that every living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, how will your view of the world change? Once you realize, what are some of the thought processes that'll go through your head? If you think that all living beings are parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Lord Krishna. So when you look around you, what will you see?
So nature.
That you will see even without knowing, having that knowledge, right? But what my question is, what will change in your life? You have been seeing nature all around, right? Your life. And now you heard this, that all living entities are parts and parcel of the Supreme. How will your approach to the world change because of that knowledge?
Well, your mood has to be one of high level of respect and love, because that's how you treat the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So everybody else gets the same treatment, I guess.
Yes, everybody gets the same treatment. And so can you elaborate a little bit on everybody? What does that include?
Oh, well, it's every living being, all sentient beings, which includes animals and plants as well.
Right. So there is a concept of a king, right? And the king has got his kingdom, and the king has got citizens, right? And the king is supposed to take care of citizens. Now the question is, who are the king's citizens? We normally think that, okay, President of America, all the Americans over here with a valid American passport are citizens of America. No. He has to take care of those also who are not citizens. So, immigrants, green card holders, he has to, right? And it doesn't stop there. He has to take care of Praja, all those who are there in his, born in his area, living in his area. That includes, as Sadhana Mataji pointed out, that all the dogs and cats and fishes and everything, right? And then our culture also talks about soul being there in other things also that don't move, but they have life. For example, mountains, right? And then even rivers. So when you start looking at things as everything as a part and parcel of Krishna, then you will think also twice about hurting these people. You'll think twice about polluting a river. And so this is that knowledge. This is that knowledge where, which makes a whole world of a difference. Like, it is sad that rivers like Ganges are so polluted, in India, which are sacred rivers. And that's a symptom of Kali Yuga, because the Shastric knowledge is lost, right? But if you know the Shastric knowledge, then you will, your approach to a river, now rivers here are pretty clean, right? And they maintain clean, and there are fines if you pollute a river and things like that. They maintain clean, but the approach is different, right? There's a godless approach. Godless approach is basically that, oh, so I've got a grandchild. I have to leave the world clean for my grandchild to enjoy. I have swum in this river. I swam in this river. I used to swim in this river. And so now my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, they should all enjoy the river. And so I'm going to keep the river, make the river clean, because so that my grandkids can enjoy. Right? And in that process, if I have to throw the garbage in the neighboring country, I will do that. That's one approach, right? The other approach is that, from the Shastric perspective, when you bring in Krishna into that equation, and you say these are part and parcel of Krishna, now you're going to think about that, it's not about enjoying this. It's not about that my future generation should enjoy this river. It's about, it is Krishna, and I have to be respectful to things which are Krishna, which then says that, in the neighboring country also, when this river is flowing, that is also Krishna. So I better be careful about creating garbage in the first place, than about the consequences as to how, and the other steps as to where do I go and dispose of the garbage that I created, right? You won't create garbage in the first place. So you'll go again to simplistic living lifestyles and things like that, right? So when God comes into picture, the approach and the way that you look at the Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastani, 5th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, 18th verse, right? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastani Chuni Chaiva Shwapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So once you see that there is Krishna and everything, then you will treat them equally, right? So it won't be like, this is an ant, so I should kill it, and this is a lion, and like that. However, we understand that there is Vishnu in it. But then that doesn't mean that we just go and stand in front of a lion and say that, okay, there's Vishnu inside it. The lion is going to eat you because that soul is in a mode of ignorance in a different body, right? But we understand from our perspective that, this is just one part and one parcel there of Krishna. So the guru is going to give you that knowledge. You get that knowledge from guru that, okay, but everything is but the part and parcel. The sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called Maya, not this. And so there is a very interesting verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is, from the 2nd canto, where we're talking about the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, right? The 4 shlokas in Bhagavatam, which were recited by Krishna to Brahma. And Brahma heard those, and then he did the Shrishti, right? He created the rest of the universe. So, the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam actually starts from verse number 33, so 33, 34, 35, and 36. So in 33, basically, Krishna is saying that everything emanates from me, everything comes from me, right? And there is another verse in Bhagavad-gita that talks the same thing. Does anybody know? Another verse in Bhagavad-gita that talks about everything comes from Krishna. And, our Varshana is not, Mataji is not here. She's the one... it's her favorite verse. Well, so inside the Bhagavad Gita also, there are 4 shlokas, which are known as the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. And if you know that, then if you understand those 4 verses, exactly, then you understand the whole of the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita 10.8, correct, for 500 points, Mataji. And he says,
Aham sarvasya.
Yes, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. Matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So he's saying that I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Right? And there is another verse in Ishopanishad that talks about things coming out of Krishna. The very first verse of
The
Isha Parikshit.
invocation one.
Invocation verse, exactly right, right?
Om Purnamada.
Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnasya
Purnamadaya
Purnameva
Purnameva
Vashishyate.
Purnameva vashishyate. Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Purnamidam
Purnatuchyate. Right. So everything, I mean, it's from the complete whole, and then what remains is complete in itself. Is a very difficult thing to understand, but that's what it is, right? In the spiritual world, the rules are very, very different. So going back again to and continuing on with our verse for today, which is Bhagavad-gita 4.35. So we saw that there are evidences in other places also in the Bhagavad Gita which are supporting this verse. So Krishna, every existence separate from Krishna is called Maya. And I was bringing up, Bhagavatam 2.9.34. And it says, Rite ritam yat pratyeta. It's a very powerful verse. Rite ritam yat pratyeta, na pratyeta chatmani, tat vidyat atmano mayam, yato bhaso yathatamaha. So it says, O Brahma. So this is Krishna giving the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam to Brahma. In the second verse of the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, he says, O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. A very, very powerful verse. And he's saying that whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. And so, and he's describing what Maya is in this particular verse. So normally people say that Maya is that, nothing exists, there's nothing, this is all illusion, this body is an illusion, and things like that. And Prabhupada gives a very nice example. He says, okay, if you think that everything is an illusion, there's a wall behind you, try walking through the wall, right? You will burst your forehead. Then you realize that the wall does exist. So it's not that things don't exist. When we look at Maya, and the way we define Maya, we don't say that this does not exist, because after all, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that bhuma apo analo vayu kham mano buddhire vaja, right? So he says that these are all my energies, earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are all my energies. And so how can they not exist? They are Krishna's energies. If Krishna's energies don't exist, then Krishna doesn't exist. So these are Krishna's energy. They do exist. Maya basically means not this, that, I am not this. This is not for my enjoyment. That kind of a ma means no. Yeah, this. So not this, not this, not this. So what he's saying is that if I pick up a cell phone, right? And then somebody might just say that, oh, cell phone, what kind of a devotee are you? You've got an iPhone 14, right? You are in Maya. You are in complete Maya. You are going after material things. No, this verse is saying, no, that's not a right statement. It is saying that anything which is not in relation to Krishna is actually Maya. So if I get the best iPhone in the market and I use that for broadcasting my Krishna Katha, then it is not Maya. So things become Maya when you engage them in your own enjoyment. And that is the gyan that the Guru gives you. The Guru gives you the knowledge that you are actually a servant of Krishna, so better not enjoy, right? When there's a cook in the home, right? Cook comes, and maybe in India, sometimes they bring their kids also with them to work, right? So the kids is there and the cook, and there's a birthday at your home, and the cook is making nice delicacies in the kitchen, but her child will not eat it. Why? Because this is meant for the master's enjoyment. Up and until the master has enjoyed it, the servant will not eat. So the same thing, the same relationship we have to understand. Pad Kamalayor Das Anu Das, that I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And the Guru is going to give that understanding and knowledge to you. But we have to first learn how do we serve our spiritual master. So the main thing about Maya is that when you do not connect it with Krishna, like Prabhupada, he had used a microphone, right? And Michael Jackson also used a microphone, but for two very different purposes, right? So one is in Maya, one is not in Maya. Same thing, same material. It could even be the same microphone. Who cares, right? But that's how it is. So we have to understand here that when we say that whatever appears to me of any value, if it is without relation to me, it has no reality. That's not a real thing, in the sense that it's not in the sense that if there is a heavy piece of diamond jewelry which I bought for my own self, it's not that it doesn't exist. He's saying it has no reality. It's a bekar ki cheez hai. Don't even go there. It's of no use to you, right? You'll only get entangled by getting into and following that particular path. So Maya, right? So going back to our, so Bhagavatam does support that. So Krishna, so he says the sense of an existence separate from Krishna. So I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to earn my own money. I'm going to enjoy it and, spend it all on myself or on those who I think are mine, right? So something that we have nothing to do with Krishna, and that Krishna is only a great historical personality, and that the absolute is the impersonal Brahman. So Krishna, what? He's a historical figure, maybe a myth also. But the absolute is impersonal, no personality, is a light, like that. Factually, as it is stated in the Bhagavad-gita, this impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna, right? Bhagavad-gita. So where in Bhagavad-gita does Krishna say that the impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence, is his personal effulgence? Where does he say that? In the 14th chapter, very famous verse, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. I think this is the verse. Okay, the next one. Or the last one, one of those. So, Brahmano hi pratishtaham amrityasya shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya kantikasya cha. So he's saying, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness, right? So he's saying, I am the basis. So these people who are saying that Krishna is a historical personality are absolutely wrong, because this historical personality, by the way, is telling in the Bhagavad-gita in 14.27 that, this Brahman that you're thinking is the God is actually not God. That Brahman effulgence actually comes from Krishna. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. It is based on me. Factually, as it is stated in the Bhagavad-gita, this impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna, as the supreme personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and the cause of all causes. Right? And where did it say in Brahma Samhita?
In the 5.1.
And what is 5.1? Very good.
Can you start it?
Okay, I'll bring it up.
I know it.
For everybody. Brahma Samhita.
Ishvara Parama Krishna.
Yes. Ishvara, go ahead.
Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam.
Sarva Karana Karanam. Now, give a little bit more energy when there is a H with a dot, H with a dot. Ishvaraha Parmaha Krishnaha Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. And when you go like that, then you will get the more relation in that. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he's the prime cause of all causes. Right? So there you go, substantiating that with what it says in the Brahma Samhita. It is clearly stated that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also his expansions of Krishna. So is there a verse in Brahma Samhita that talks about his incarnations? Brahma Samhita? I will bring it up and then you'll remember. Where is Brahma Samhita? Oh, why does it do a BG all the time? Ramadimurtisu kala niyamena tishtan nanavataram akarotu vaneshu kintu Krishnaha swayam sambhavavat paramaha pumanyo Govindamati purusham tamaham bhajami. So where is which word is talking about incarnation?
Avatar.
Nana avatar. Yeah, Nana avatar, right? Various. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna, and the different avatars in the world in the form of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions, right? So in the Brahma Samhita, it's clearly stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all cause of causes, and even the 5.1, even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions, 5.39. Similarly, the living entities are also expansions of Krishna, 15, we saw .7, Mame Vanshobh Jivaloke. The Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in many expansions. This thought is material in nature. We have experience in the material world that the thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its own original identity. So, for example, if I were to take an orange, right? So if I take orange in my hand and I ask you to describe it, how will you describe the orange?
Color, round.
Color, the shape, right? Maybe the smell, right? Now, if I peel the orange and then take out each of the individual pieces and then distribute it, where is the orange?
No.
Right? It loses. This is what happens in the material world. That when you distribute it, the thing loses it, its identity. But it's not like that in the spiritual world. That's what this verse is saying. Something difficult to comprehend with our material senses and our material intellect. But our Shastras are telling us, and these are aparushaya, they have been spoken by Krishna, who's beyond the material world. So we take them with faith and accept them, right? So, but Mayavadi philosophies fail to understand that absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1, and 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. So which verse, can you give me a verse to say that substantiate that 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1? Any verse from the Shastras? One minus 1 is equal to 1. I will give you a hint. We recited that verse today. Another hint. Sonal Mataji, you gave us that verse.
10.8.
Well, 10.8 is saying aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pavartate iti matva bhajante man bhuja bhava samanvita. So that one is just saying that everything comes from me, and knowing that people worship me.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at a verse that says that from 1 minus 1 equal to 1. It is the Ishopanishad invocation verse, right? Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnam Uddasyate, Purnasya Purnam Adaya. Purnasya Purnam Adaya means if you subtract, Purna means 1, right? From the 1, if you subtract what? 1. Purnasya Purnam. From the Purnam, you subtract the Purna, Adaya, subtract. Purnam eva vashishyate. Then remaining is also Purnam, right? So that's the verse to subsumption, right? So 1 plus 1 is equal to 1, and 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1, right? So that's what this is the case in the absolute world. For want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion, and therefore we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, Mame Vansho Jiva Loke, we are nevertheless not different from him. The bodily difference of living entities is Maya, or not actual fact. Otherwise, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini seems the same form in Brahmar, in a Gavi, in a Hastini, in a cow, in a elephant. Shuni Shaiva Chapakicha, in a dog and in a dog eater. Everything is the same. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. This is very, very important point, and a line to take away today from this discussion that we are having today, that we are all meant to satisfy Krishna. And this is the understanding that Krishna is trying to give to Arjuna, who's standing in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And one day before Gita Jayanti, which is being celebrated ISV tomorrow, where we'll all recite all the 18 chapters of Bhagavad-gita in flat 3.5 hours. So he's standing there, he's in illusion, right? We are covered in illusion. And he says, Yaj gyatva punar moham. If you understand this, then you will not fall into illusion. And that's exactly what happened into Arjuna. He was completely in illusion. Dvishvayam swajanam Krishna mumutsam yuyutsam sam upastitam sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishusyate veputushya sharire me roma harshasya jayate gandivam samsrite hastat tvaktvacha paridahyate na shaknomya vasthatum brahmati vichame manaha. Right? So he's completely gone. He's saying, oh, the Gandhi is slipping from my hand. I'm seeing all my swajanam. These are mine. Right? Temporary bodily relationship. How can I kill them? Katham nyageyam asmavi. So like that, he's saying he is moham. He's under moham. But Krishna is saying that if you get the transcendental knowledge, then punar moham, you will not fall into that illusion again. By Maya alone, Arjun thought that a temporary body relationship with his kinsmen was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teaching of Gita is targeted towards this end, that a living being as Krishna's eternal servitor cannot be separated from Krishna, and a sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. Rite ratam yat pratyeta, na pratyeta jatni. The living entities as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose since time immemorial, they are situated in different bodies as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in the transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. So being liberated, you attain liberation. There's a famous verse, Iha yasya harer dase karmana manasagira niklav avasthatum jivan mukta sa uchyate. So what it says is that Iha yasya harer dase. Iha means here. Here means that in this material world, in this planet Earth that where you are standing. Iha yasya harer dasya, the one who is a das, the one who is a devotee of Krishna. Iha yasya harer dase karmana manasa gira, right? Through his actions, through his words, through his body, right? And through his mind, right? Who does in devotional service to the Lord. Then what happens is that person gets liberation even in this material world. And he's called Jivan Mukta. Even while he's alive, he's liberated. Why? Because he's done everything for Krishna. He's completely engaged in Krishna. There's no sense of Maya there. And when you are under the control of Maya, that is called Maya, right? Maya Baddha Jiva. So the living entities as separate parts and parcel of Supreme have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose since time immemorial, they are situated in different bodies as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. One can acquire such pure knowledge only from bona fide spiritual master and thereby avoid the delusion that living entity is equal to Krishna. This is very, very important. One can acquire such pure knowledge only from the bona fide spiritual master and thereby avoid the delusion that the living entity is equal to Krishna. Perfect knowledge is that the Supreme Soul, Krishna, is the supreme shelter of all living entities. And giving up such shelter, the living entities are deluded by the material energy, imagining themselves to have a separate entity. Thus, under different standards of material identity, they become forgetful of Krishna. When, however, such deluded living entities become situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that they are on the path of liberation. As confirmed in the Bhagavatam 2.10.6, Muktir hityan hitwan yatha rupam swarupena vyavasthiti. Liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as the eternal servitor of Krishna, and which is Krishna consciousness. So this 2.10.6 is a very interesting verse. But before I go to 2.10.6, I will also bring up 2.10.1, which is a very, 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 very important verse. in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.1. Remember 2.10.1. And it says, Sri Shuka Vacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutaya Manvantare Shanu Katha Nirodho Muktirashrayaha. So what this particular verse is saying is that it is describing the 10 topics that Srimad Bhagavatam covers. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam covers 10 topics. And what are those 10 topics? Sri Sukadeva Goswami said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 divisions of statements regarding the following. Creation, the creation of the universe, Sarga. Sub-creation, Visarga. Planetary systems, Dhananam. Protection by the Lord, Poshanam. Creative impetus, Utaya. The change of Manu, Manvantara. The science of God, Ishanu Katha. Returning back to Godhead, liberation, Muktir. And the Samambonam, Ashraya. Okay, so these are the topics that are discussed. And in 2.10.6, what they are talking about, that from those topics, now in subsequent verses, he will talk about each one of these a little bit. And of course, the rest of the Bhagavatam talks about it in details. But then 2.10.6, which is a reference in the Bhagavad-gita 4.35 that we are studying today. So here's saying, Nirodho Shayanu Shayanam Atmana Saha Shakti Bihi Muktir Hitman Yatharupam Swarupena Vyavasthitihi. So, right? So this is the last line is what Prabhupada was quoting in the purport here. So he says Nirodh means the winding up of the cosmic manifestation, which is also one of the topics discussed in the Bhagavatam, right? So the merging of the living entity along with his conditional living tendency with the mystic lying down of the Mahavishnu is called the winding up of the cosmic manifestation. So after this entire universe is annihilated, all the living entities go back to Mahavishnu, who's lying on the causal ocean. They go and live in his abdomen. And next time when he breathes out, then through the pores of his body, all these universes again are manifested. And these jivas who are lying dormant and sleeping in his abdomen, they again go back and they get their suitable body, carrying on and continuing from the previous devastation that was there. So this is going on. Bhutva bhutva praliyate ratri agame avasha partha prabhavatya ahar agame. So when the night of Brahma falls, things are annihilated. At least the lower planetary systems are annihilated. And then in the morning, they are created again. And then when Brahma dies, the entire universe is annihilated like that. So there is bhutva bhutva. So we'll be born. Every time Brahma dies, we'll also die. And Brahma is born, we'll also come out, right? Vishnu inhales, we are dead, all dead. Then Vishnu exhales, then we are out into this material world. And even in this universe, we keep on dying and being born again. So it's like Brahmana and Brahmite. We are just constantly loitering, right? In this, sometimes going to the upper planetary system, sometime in this body, sometime in that body. That's going on and on and on, right? So even Pralaya is not going to give us liberation, because after the Pralaya is there's Srishti again. After the annihilation, there is creation one more time, right? So it'll happen. But now he is saying liberation is the permanent situation of the form of living entity after he gives up the changeable, gross and subtle material body. So he just gives that up, right? As we have discussed several times in the purport, Prabhupada says, there are two types of living entities. Most of them are either ever liberated or nitya muktas, while some of them are ever conditioned. The ever conditioned souls are apt to develop a mentality of lording over the material nature, and therefore the material cosmic creation is manifested to give the ever conditioned souls two kinds of facilities. One facility is that the conditioned soul can act according to his tendency to lord it over the cosmic manifestation. And the other facility gives the conditioned soul a chance to come back to Godhead. So after the winding up of the cosmic manifestation, most of the conditioned souls merge into the existence of the Mahavishnu personality of Godhead, lying in his mystic slumber, to be created again in the next creation. But some of the conditioned souls who follow the transcendental sound in the form of Vedic literature are thus able to go back to Godhead, attain spiritual and original bodies after quitting the conditional, gross and subtle material bodies. The material conditioned bodies develop out of the living entities' forgetfulness of their relationship of Krishna. So Sambandha Gyan is gone. And during the course of cosmic manifestation, the conditioned souls are given a chance to revive their original status of life with the help of revealed scriptures, so mercifully compiled by the Lord in his different incarnations. Reading or hearing of such transcendental literature helps one become liberated even in the conditional state of material existence. All the Vedic literatures aim to add devotional service to the personality of Godhead. And as soon as one is fixed upon this point, he at once becomes liberated from the conditional life. The material, gross, and subtle forms are simply due to the conditioned soul's ignorance. And as soon as he is fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, he becomes eligible to be freed from the conditioned state. This devotional service is transcendental attraction for the Supreme on account of his being the source of all pleasing humors. Everyone is after some pleasure of humor for enjoyment, but does not know that the supreme soul of all attraction, raso vaisaha rasam hi evabhyam, labdhvanandi bhavati. The Vedic literatures inform everyone about the supreme source of all pleasure. The unlimited fountainhead of all pleasure is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is fortunate enough to get And one who is fortunate enough to get this information through transcendental literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam becomes permanently liberated to occupy his place in the kingdom of God. So interesting thing here is that it's saying that reading or hearing of such transcendental literature helps one become liberated even in the conditioned state of material existence. So the moment you start hearing, even if you're not picking up the book and you're reading it. And there's a very nice verse in Bhagavad-gita, chapter number 13, which is very, very powerful. And I really like that verse. I'm going to bring that up here for your relish. 326 from the Veda base coming up. Anye tvaevam ajanantaha shrutvan yebhya upasate tepi chati Rantyeva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person about hearing about him from others. Because of the tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Can you give me the example of someone who was not conversant in spiritual knowledge and began to worship after hearing? Somebody who was not at all conversant, was from a lower strata in life, but was hearing from these authorities, transcendental authorities, and then got liberated from life and death, cycle of life and death.
Narada Muni?
Yes, exactly, for 1,000 points. Narada Muni, right? He was the son of a maid servant. So don't expect that there were a Bhagavad-gita and Bhagavatam in his home, completely devoid of the chance or the atmosphere, right? Maid servant, single mom, what can she think, right? From where is the next plate of food coming, right? That's her focus in life. And so he heard from those brahmanas who were sitting in a hut in the Chaturmasya and who had engaged his mom to cook and clean for them, right? So he heard. And just by hearing, the rest is history. You don't have to say about that, right? So going back again to our verse that Prabhupada had quoted in Bhagavad Gita, and from where we had jumped. So we were looking at Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10. And so here it was an interesting thing. Here it is saying that, where is it? Yeah. Everyone is after some pleasure of humor for enjoyment, but does not know, the last 4 lines, does not know about the supreme source of all attraction. Raso vaisaha rasam hi evabhyam labdhanandi bhavati. So my question here is that, why is Krishna attractive? Krishna is all attractive.
64 opulences. He has all the...
Yes, he has the 6 opulences. And does anybody remember what are the 6 opulences?
Or beauty.
Beauty is one, okay.
Fame.
Sorry, strength is one, yeah.
Fame.
Wealth.
Wealth, yes, very good. What else?
That's like Aishwaryasya samagrasya.
Yeah, that's
Full,
shloka. Very
full
nice.
wealth, knowledge, beauty,
Veeryasya
renunciation,
yashasosriyaha.
and
Knowledge, beauty, strength, fame.
yeah.
What's the most important one?
Renunciation.
Renunciation, right? Even after all this, he's completely renounced, right?
Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yasasoshita
Yeah.
jnana vairagyasya chaiva sannam bhaga itingana.
Shannam bhaga itingana. Right. And if you want to look at this verse, where will you go?
Vishnu Purana.
Vishnu.
6.4, 5 point.
On the internet, where will you go?
Wow, I don't know.
You're supposed to know.
6.5.
You're supposed to know. Where will you go?
It's in the Bhagavatam, I think.
It's in the Bhagavatam. No, on the internet. All right.
Oh, on the internet means?
Internet, browser. Where you want to browser for a quick way to find out where this verse is. So 6 opulences of the Lord. All right. Okay, coming up here, the web for you.
I said
Do you see
Vishnu
this?
Puranam.
Do you know this website?
Oh, that way. Nitya Sankirtan.
You have to go to the Sankirtan. It's hanging there for you,
Yeah.
right? The 6 opulences of the Lord in the PDF format. Aishwarasya samagrasya veerasya yashasha sriyaha jnana vairagyo chaiva shannam bhaga itingana. Right, so we said, you all listed here, wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. These are the 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So when we describe all this, we say that, okay, because he has got money and he's the richest and our mind gets attracted to richest, so we get attracted, right? Because he's most beautiful, we get attracted to him. Now, one thing interesting to see about this people's attraction, and I'll bring up a verse from the Bhagavatam also to talk about the second one. The first one here is that we get attracted to beauty, right? And so we might, but we like, in generally, our attraction is most towards the beauty in the same species of life, right? I will not say that is such a beautiful dog, I want to marry him. Right? Or, the Miss Universe stands and the cockroach in the room doesn't get attracted to her because she's so beautiful. So you have to realize this thing in the material world. The attraction is towards the same species. This is how the material world is constructed, is created, right? So a dog will get attracted to a dog, a monkey will get attracted to a monkey, right? A famous film actor might come, or a very famous personality might come to the town, and everybody in the town could rush to go and meet him. But the cockroaches and the donkeys and the cats and the dogs, they don't care. Who's there? Right? Now, let's talk about Brahma Vimohan Leela. What happened in Brahma Vimohan Leela? Does somebody remember? In a nutshell, in 2 or 3 lines, what happened? What is the essence of Brahma Vimohan Leela of Krishna? What happened in Devali Mataji? Brahma Vimohan Leela, 10th canto, 14th chapter.
Oh,
So Brahma wanted to test Krishna. He had his doubts whether such a small boy is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he steals away all the cowherd boys and all the calves, and he puts them in a cave and puts a stone in front of the cave when Krishna has gone to do some little errand. And that day was also Balram's birthday. So Balram had not gone to tend to the cows. Krishna was alone. And then, or maybe I don't know about the Balram part, but anyway, all the Gwalas were hidden. And Brahma just goes back to his planet for a second. Now we know Brahma's second can be a very long time here on this planet. So it actually becomes 1 year like that. So when Krishna comes and sees that, he understands it. And what does he do? He expands himself in the form of cows and calves and these all these Gwalas, right? And he returns home. And so when he returns with all of them home, and remember, Krishna is small. So Krishna is not in charge of tending to the big cows. He's only in charge of taking care of the calves for herding, and for grazing. So he used to take the calves. So when the calves return home, they are not the original calves, right? They are Krishna. And of course, the Gwalas who return home, they are not the Gwalas, they are Krishna. And it was interesting to note it was very interesting to note that the cows loved these calves more than they loved their own calves, right? And similarly, the mothers also loved these kids more than they started loving them more. They did not know, but they started loving them more because that is the attraction that the soul has for Krishna, right? And the interesting thing, it's a very interesting thing, is that there is a difference between I and mine. Both are condemned here, right? We say, I don't go after I and mine, my body, my son, my daughter, my country, my football league, my job, my subordinate, my boss, like that, right? So we say, don't go after. So I is condemned and mine is condemned, and also I am this, I am Miss Universe, like that. Those both the things are, you're told not to do that. So out of the I and mine, which one do you think is stronger? I or mine?
Mine. Mine, Mataji.
Mine would be stronger?
Yeah. Wait.
Both are the same, I and mine.
Why are they the same?
Is it?
I am Shraddha, you are Sukumal, and you are my god sister. But I am I. And the relationship, you're my god sister. So which is more powerful? Interestingly, the I is more powerful than the mine. I is more powerful. Right? And to give examples of that, scientists had conducted this experiment. It's a little bit of a gory experiment, so don't try it out, right? So what they did was that they took a tub, it was a tall tub, and they put a monkey and a female monkey and a small baby monkey there, her baby, in that. And then they started putting the water in the tub. Started putting the water in the tub, and then the water started rising. So now they will drown, right? The child will drown. So the child started climbing on the head and went and sat on the head of the mother. And then they slowly started putting more and more and more water, like that. And the water is rising. And now the mother knows that the water has come to her head. Child is over here, right? And then suddenly what the monkey did was unthinkable. The monkey took the child from the head, dunked the child in the water, climbed on the child, and came out of the tub. That is the difference between I and mine.
Wow. How can she do as mother, Mataji?
That's what I'm trying to say. And that is what the Brahma Vimohan Leela is explaining to us. That I and the mind, that is mine. What were the mind? My child, my calf, or my son who has gone out for grazing. My son is out there in the cave that Brahma has hidden. Right? And what has come here is Krishna. And why were they loving Krishna more? Because today's verse is saying that you are part and parcel of Krishna. That is why because I is more important. There's no difference between Krishna and I in that sense. I'm a separated part, but I'm a part. So your love for that will be even more than whatever is this illusory concept of mine, my child, my son, my daughter. It's beyond, it's a very, it's a thought that shakes us all up, right? And that explains why sannyasis give up home and go after Krishna, because they're, these Krishna, these are temporary relationships over there, right? So this verse is telling us that. And then Krishna being the supreme attractive, right? So supreme attractive attracts everybody. You gave me some reasons as to why he attracts all of us, right? Apart from the fact that we are his parts and parcels, we see so much of goodness there in him. Now, everybody can look at Krishna in a very different way. Same, right? Same Krishna, but different people will look at him in different ways. And I'm just trying to remember what was the verse there. Let me bring it up. It is somewhere in the 10th canto. So where we are, where Krishna is actually entering the arena, right? When Krishna goes with Balram to Mathura. Let me bring up the words. Yeah, it's in the 10th canto. Yeah, 10th canto. Yeah, 43.7. Okay. Let me bring it up. And very, very interesting. Sharing the screen here with you. 10:43:17. Malanam ashanirninam naravara Srinam smaro murtiman Gopinam swajano satam shiti bhujam Shasta swapitro shishu Mityur bhojapater virat vidusham Tatvam param yoginam Vrishninam paradevate vidito rangam gata sagraja. So look at one Krishna. The various groups of people in the arena regarded Krishna in different ways when he entered it with his elder brother. The wrestlers saw Krishna as a lightning bolt, the men of Mathura as the best of males, the women as Cupid in person, the cowherd men as their relative, the empire's rulers as a chastiser, his parents as their child, the king of the Bhojas as death, which is Kamsa, the unintelligent as the Supreme Lord's universal form, the yogis as the absolute truth, and the Vishnus as their supreme worshipable deities. So I will stop here and open up for any reflections, questions, anything that comes to your mind. And sorry, I need, okay. Anything that stuck your mind today that makes you worth the price for having heard from the scriptures today?
Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has all the 64 qualities, and then he is Purnamada.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnasudasyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Yeah.
In full.
Right.
But I liked it today. And then
What else?
We went to Brahma Samhita, all the Brahma Samhita, and then most of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gita. We covered a lot of slokas today. I like that. Those slokas, remember, but on the spur of the moment, not getting. That was so. See, Krishna gives forgetfulness and everything. Mataji Mariko, I think he gave me more forgetfulness. I don't know what to do. I had to pray him. That's all. Every time I get those deity pictures from ISV, I always see Krishna's lotus feet. And Lord Narasimha's and Lakshmi's lotus feet, I ask for it, and that's all. Every time I just see that. And then if I don't see any, like Lakshmi's lotus feet also, I ask them, oh, today I didn't see that. So whoever dresses the day, I enjoy that. That Krishna is that attractive. That's what I feel. I don't know. Even the lotus feet, I observe the anklets and then the flowers and how he's. So I feel that every day. So that
one of the things very important is to, when we are doing darshan of the Lord, that we have to take darshan of the Lord very carefully. I mean, these pictures, they land on our inbox or on WhatsApp, and we kind of just look at it and say, I got a daily darshan. Okay, got the daily darshan. Now close your eyes and tell me, what color of the sari was Radharani wearing today? How many necklaces did she have? Was it a pearl necklace? Was it a golden necklace? Was it diamond, jewelry, silk, or flowers? What exactly was she wearing? When you do darshan, person goes to the nitty-gritties and the details. Did he have makeup around his eyebrows today or not? Right? What sort of a flute was that? Did it have a lotus at the end? Did it have a peacock at the end? What was in his arms, his armlets, everything. So darshan itself is a sort of meditation. When you focus your mind completely on looking at the picture of the Lord. So much so that if you close your eyes, you should be able to recall that picture like that.
I always see that Lord Narasimha's lotus feet with that, what do you call, Mehendi or something, Lakshmi's and his feet with all the red color. And that's it. I feel all the time. Alta.
The altar, yeah.
And even Krishna's anklets, which one they're changing it, which one they put. And I feel, observe all that.
It's important, yeah.
Every day I comment on those things and I write the text back to them, whoever dresses, every day I get that. But that's what I'm saying. Krishna is very attractive, and then just keep on looking at him. I go to the temple also.
Yeah.
That is the attraction. Yeah. I don't know if we have any that attraction.
Good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So Kumal Radhi, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, just that continuing from the last verse and continuing into this verse, reiterating that we can get perfect knowledge only from a spiritual, bona fide spiritual master who will let us know that if we are under a delusion if we think that we are equal to Krishna. But if we submissively give in to him and accept him as all supreme, then he will always keep us under his shelter. But
yes, and one of the interesting thing is, and this is so bad about us, and why are these things so bad about us, and why do we have this trait, is because that is the reason that we are here. We are rebellious souls who did not want to surrender to Krishna, and that's why we have fallen from above and we are here in this material world. So that streak of not listening and not obeying and not being submissive is there in us all the time. Right? And so we will always question like, oh, so why should I be submissive to Krishna? Arjuna says, Shishyasteham shadi mam tom prapannam. In the second chapter, he says, Shishyasteham, I am your student. Shadi mam tom prapanna, I am surrendered to you. He says both the things in the same sentence. They go hand in hand, they go all along. And the question here is that, and this mind is, which is our biggest enemy, will plant these kinds of, thoughts in us, and the buddhi, if it is brushed will go along. They're not knowing how to distinguish between a good thought and a bad thought, right? So they will say, why should I surrender? Why do I have to listen to Guru? Why do I have to be humble? Okay, so let's see. Why do I have to be committed? Right, like that. The question they're asking, okay, fine. Then let's look at your other side of your life, right? Where you don't have a Guru, you have a boss. Okay. Are you submissive to your boss or not? You are called a subordinate. And if you don't listen to your boss, you are fired on grounds of insubordination. Right? So you do that. Do you work hard for the boss? Yes. Do you listen to everything? Yes. Right? Are you committed? If you work for Apple, then you will not appreciate and go on the Facebook and start appreciating Google products, and vice versa. You are committed to you're loyal to your company. But when it comes to Krishna and your Guru, you don't want to do any of these things, right? I mean, even such a simple thing as marriage. When a man marries a woman, he is giving a commitment. I will take care of you, right? I will love you, take care of your emotional needs, feed you financially, all that kind of things that the promise the man is making. But when it comes to Krishna, we don't want to make any commitments at all. Any commitments. So, this Tadvidi Paripatina is very important words, right? Very important words. And if you do that, then the results, the consequences of that are amazing. That you will get out of this cycle of birth and death.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be so hard, because when we read the scriptures and it tells us that he is our shelter and he will do anything to protect us, all we need to do is have faith and do devotional service, then that shouldn't be as hard as it seems.
It shouldn't be as hard as it seems. And actually the part that Mame Vancho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, that everything is my part and parcel, that actually helps you handle your relationships very nicely. Otherwise, without that, it's very difficult. So once you know, oh, this is a part of Krishna and I love Krishna, how can I, even be antagonist to somebody who's their child? Like, if I love you then of course I will love your children, right? I can't be bad to your daughter and think that, I will be a friend of yours. The two things go hand in hand. So our capability to handle the world becomes so, capacity to become so different. And it doesn't matter from which lowest of the strata you are coming. Kirad hunanda pulinda pulkasha abhira shambha yamana khasadaya yene chapa ashraya shraya shudhyanti tasme prabhavishnave namaha. They say that Kirat, the Moors, the Mongolians, the China, all those, Greece, Turkey, all those, up ashraya, those who have taken shelter of the bad things, Jagai and Madai, right? But then if they take the shelter of the Lord, then they are Shuddhai, they become Shuddh, they become purified. So that Vishnu I offer my obeisances. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. So when people get this understanding that everything is a part and parcel, this world, they become joyful, and this world becomes looks very beautiful to them, because everywhere they see Krishna. Sab Krishna, Sab Krishna, Sab Krishna lage, right? We have this song. And so to live in that consciousness that you are liberated in this world itself, you're liberated because your consciousness has reached that particular stage, and it's a practice. And how will that practice happen? How will we get that? By chanting the holy names of the Lord, by hearing the holy names of the Lord, hearing the Krishna Katha. It's very, very important. Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna, Punyashtamana Kirtana, Hridyantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti shritsadam. All the dirt in the heart will go away. So again and again, you already have a relish for listening to Krishna Katha. Continue that.
Yeah.
Continue that. And it doesn't matter what happened in life, what did not happen in life. Life is a series of ups and downs. It'll happen.
Yeah.
But what stays constant is the devotional service thing, like that. And there'll be tests along the way all the time. And one of the verses in 12th chapter of Bhagavad-gita is Yasma no dujate loko, loka no ujjute shayaha, harsham harshabhayodeger mukto yasap jame priha. So Krishna is describing the qualities of a devotee, and he says one who does not agitate others and one who is not agitated by others. And so for we always think that, okay, fine, I don't agitate. I won't be very nice. I'll be very polite. I won't say anything wrong to anybody. And then, but the problem comes is the other way around, which is one who's not agitated by others. That is where our real test comes of our patience, of our self-control, everything there. And of our seeing others as a part and parcel of Krishna. Why is that person behaving like that? That person is also a part and parcel of Krishna. And then to realize that, oh, this is a test that Krishna has taken. I better, handle the situation properly.
Yeah.
So, and it's an exercise. It's an exercise. And the moment the moment you transcend that boundary, then there is complete freedom. For example, if you're driving a car to school, right? And there is a traffic jam and there's a red light everywhere. There is a red light. And you're tired of waiting, the wait, you're getting late. And then if your car goes up, you're completely relieved of the traffic jam, of the red lights, everything. You go and land in the parking lot of your school and you're there. So what did we do? Elevation, getting out and going to a higher level. And that's what we have supposed to do to our consciousness, to raise it to a level where we are above all these petty things. And the bad thing is that the mind will continue to pull it down. Yeah. Gravity. And the Shastras will boost it up. Hearing will boost it up. Devotee Sangha will boost it up, like that. And so that's what we should always be asking for, that in my every life. Parishad Maharaj at the end of his life said just that in my next birth, I want to have friendly relationship with devotees. That's what he asked for.
Association makes a lot of difference, Mata.
It does, yeah.
Yes,
it does. Yeah.
Like this class, thanks to Zoom, but we feel like, we're just sitting together and then listening. I am so used to this Zoom class all day. But, this association, it makes a lot of difference. You'll come to know a lot of things.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying, that somebody might have from the other philosophy or from the Mandal philosophy might say, but this is an illusion. There's no Sukumal Radhe, it's actually my screen. And there's no Vindhyavali, that's my screen. And this is the pixels on your screen and there's sound coming out. But no, this is real association because Krishna Katha is going on over here. And so this is not Maya. And this is not an illusion. It is reality. There are devotees who
Really,
are
sir.
discussing Krishna, right? Like that. Yeah. Yeah. And you sit here for an hour and a half. I'm pretty sure that we had trouble. We have troubles in our life. When we join the class, there are 600 things going in our head.
Forget it.
And they will start. But the 1.5 hours that we're here, we forget everything. And now let's hear from Meera Mataji.
Yes, this is, I feel, is such a blessing. This is my association with devotees. And without it, it would be terrible.
Yeah, yeah. That is so true. Very nice. Okay. Should we call it a day here? Although we don't want. But tomorrow is Gita Jayanti, also Ekadashi.
Yeah.
For those of you who are watching us online here.
Sorry?
First chapter what?
Whole chapter reading.
Yes, all of them.
Sanskrit.
Whole Bhagavad-gita. Yeah, all of it. Yeah. 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 At Silicon Valley also at 7:30 tomorrow we will start. And yeah, it will go on for at least 3.5 hours till 11.
In the temple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we have tomorrow and day after too. Tomorrow they have English translation, day after Sanskrit.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Okay.
I don't know how much I can do, but I want to do Sanskrit. They want me to do.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, so yeah, we'll call it a day here on this call.
Thank you.
Meet again. And hopefully I can catch you all on Sunday.
Oh, we don't want, we'll do it.
Hari Bol.
Okay. Hari Bol, Mataji. Thank you for joining. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hari Hari
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Hari Bol.